next tip is to make sure you are living on a budget. Hello everyone. Today I want to go over tips for living in Africa. And please keep in mind, these tips are from my perspective. My family and I moved to Africa, specifically Tanzania, in 2020. And one of the first things that I noticed was visually how everything looked very different. So the first tip is respect the culture and the differences when arriving to the continent. And if you're going to live while living on the continent of Africa. We moved to Tanzania in 2020 and I saw a lot of shops on the outside, a lot of restaurants on the outside, and it just looked different to me because I'm from the US and I'm used to shopping on the inside. There may be some shops on the outside, but even with that, the look of it is different. So I had to get used to the look of Africa. And let me tell you, after a week, I absolutely loved the look. Later on, I was introduced to some shops on the inside, like there's Milimani City Mall, I believe, and that's on the inside. It gives you more of a mall experience. And then there's Tegeta, which the shops are basically on the outside. And I really enjoy the shopping experience in Tegeta and some of the other places that are located on the outside. The same thing with restaurants. Most of the restaurants are on the outside, but there are some restaurants on the inside. Whenever we would go to restaurants in Tanzania, I prefer to go to the restaurants on the outside. It just gives you a good experience. The sun, the breeze, the trees, you can experience all of that, and it's so peaceful while you're eating and talking and fellowshipping with people. So I really do enjoy that part of Tanzania. My kids also enjoy the chickens. I remember when we first moved and got off the plane and my son said he wants to go to his room, and we had just rode on the plane for 24 hours and I knew that was so impossible for him to go to his room. He started crying at the airport, and the people, they were wondering, well, what's wrong with your kid? And by the way, people in Tanzania, they love children. They love children. So they were like, what's wrong with the baby? What's wrong with your kid? Why is he crying? And he said he wanted to go to his room. So I knew that was impossible. But after we had gotten settled, some people took us out, and we were at a restaurant and he saw some chickens. He started chasing the chickens and he was smiling and he was happy. And I was like, okay, it's gonna be okay. The second tip is learn the language. So just YouTube, what is the language for Ghana? What is the language for the Gambia? What is the language for Tanzania? Kiswahili is for Tanzania. So if you don't learn anything else, my suggestion or recommendation is to at least learn the greetings and the numbers. So I did a video about learning the greetings, and I will put that at the end of, attach that at the end of this video, and also the numbers. The numbers are very important because people don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe if they know English, but the majority of the people in Tanzania speak Kiswahili. That is their native language. Very few people know English. So, and just out of respect for the country, I think it's good to at least know good morning, good evening, good afternoon, that type of thing in their native language. People seem to be grateful and appreciative when you attempt to at least say good morning, habari za asubuhi. I mean, people, they appreciate that. And of course, if you're going to be conducting business, if you're going to live in Tanzania specifically, or any other country, you probably would want to learn their language fluently if you can. That would be one of my suggestions if you plan to live there, because you don't want to do business and you don't know what anyone is saying, especially if the majority of the people speak Kiswahili. They could be talking around you. You have no idea what anybody is saying, and sometimes that may not be to your advantage. So learning the language would be very helpful. It would be in your favor if you're able to do so. The next tip is to make sure you are living on a budget. Budget your expenses, your monthly expenses, your weekly expenses, your daily expenses, so that you do not overspend. That's very important, because especially if you plan to live in Tanzania, and most of us have online jobs, but you're not getting paid. Most of us are not getting paid what your pay was like in the U.S. So to have a good budget with your money is going to help you in the long run. I have a currency converter that helps you convert whatever currency the country is using to U.S. dollars. For example, Tanzania uses T-shillings. So in my converter, I put maybe 5,000 T-shillings to see what does it convert to U.S. dollars. That can be helpful, so you will know what am I spending in U.S. dollars. You can use this for T-shillings, you can use it for whatever currency Gambia is using, or Ghana, or Zimbabwe. You can use this currency converter. The next tip is make sure you have an understanding when negotiating, whatever it is. It may be getting on a boat, going somewhere, maybe getting in a bajaji going somewhere. Before you get in the bajaji or on that boda, make sure you know what the cost is from A to B. Make sure you both have an understanding, and don't just get in the bajaji or on the boda, and when you get there, they say some price that you know just cannot be the correct price. With that said, make sure you have the correct change. Always make sure you have the correct change when you're getting on a boda or getting in a bajaji. And to be honest, some stores that you may go to, make sure you have the correct change, because sometimes they may not have the change. Or sometimes I ask, I have this, do you have change for this? And most of the time they will be honest and tell you if they do or not. So normally it's not a problem if you ask, but you have to ask up front, and you either have to have your change, ask do they have change, and then it should be okay. The last tip is try not to be judgmental or bitter. If you experience a negative situation, just know that is a distraction. Remember your purpose, remember your goal, and keep moving forward. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.